So how's the Torah to be taught? What does sentence of the Torah mean? Where Deuteronomy 17:8 is in the written Torah to get the original context? The Torah tells us how the Torah is supposed to be taught. The Torah is supposed to be heard, not interpreted by man. Exodus 20 is our first witness in the written Torah. When the Almighty shouted down his commandments, the people heard his words. The Creator did not need to provide Mishnah interpretation.
Chapter 20. Then God instructed the people as follows. I am the Lord your God, who rescued you from slavery in Egypt. Do not worship any other gods besides me. Do not make idols of any kind, whether in the shape of birds or animals or fish. You must never worship or bow down to them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God who will not share your affection with any other god. I do not leave unpunished the sins of those who hate me, but I punish the children for the sins of their parents to the third and fourth generations. But I lavish my love on those who love me and obey my commands, even for 1,000 generations. Do not misuse the name of the Lord your God. The Lord will not let you go unpunished if you misuse his name. Remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days a week are set apart for your daily duties and regular work, but the seventh day is a day of rest dedicated to the Lord your God. On that day, no one in your household may do any kind of work. This includes you, your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, your livestock, and any foreigners living among you. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and everything in them. Then he rested on the seventh day. That is why the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart as holy. Honor your father and mother. Then you will live a long, full life in the land the Lord your God will give you. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not testify falsely against your neighbor. Do not covet your neighbor's house. Do not covet your neighbor's wife, male or female servant, ox or donkey, or anything else your neighbor owns. When the people heard the thunder and the loud blasts of the horn, and when they saw the lightning and the smoke billowing from the mountain, they stood at a distance, trembling with fear. And they said to Moses,
You tell us what God says, and we will listen, but don't let God speak directly to us. If he does, we will die.
Don't be afraid,
Moses said,
for God has come in this way to show you his awesome power. From now on, let your fear of him keep you from sinning.
As the people stood in the distance, Moses entered into the deep darkness where God was. And the Lord said to Moses, Say this to the people of Israel, You are witnesses that I have spoken to you from heaven.
Exodus 24 is our second witness. Moses reads to Israel the Creator's covenant terms, and Israel accepts the blood covenant. Moses didn't give them Mishnah interpretation.
Chapter 24. When Moses had announced to the people all the teachings and regulations the Lord had given him, they answered in unison,
We will do everything the Lord has told us to do.
Then Moses carefully wrote down all the Lord's instructions. Early the next morning he built an altar at the foot of the mountain. He also set up 12 pillars around the altar, one for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. Then he sent some of the young men to sacrifice young bulls as burnt offerings and peace offerings to the Lord. Moses took half the blood from these animals and drew it off into basins. The other half he splashed against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it to the people. They all responded again,
We will do everything the Lord has commanded. We will obey.
Then Moses sprinkled the blood from the basins over the people and said,
This blood confirms the covenant the Lord has made with you in giving you these laws.
Deuteronomy 31 is our third witness. Moses said, At the end of every 7th year, the year of release, during the Feast of Sukkot, call all together, men, women, children, and foreigners that lives in your town, and the children that does not know, all could hear the words of the Creator. The scriptures does not say, do not forget to give Mishnah interpretation.
Chapter 31. So Moses wrote down this law and gave it to the priests who carried the Ark of the Lord's Covenant and to the leaders of Israel. Then Moses gave them this command. At the end of every 7th year, the year of release, during the festival of shelters, you must read this law to all the people of Israel when they assemble before the Lord your God at the place he chooses. Call them all together, men, women, children, and the foreigners living in your towns, so they may listen and learn to fear the Lord your God and carefully obey all the terms of this law. Do this so that your children who have not known these laws will hear them and will learn to fear the Lord your God. Do this as long as you live in the land you are crossing the Jordan to occupy.